So we're here at T1R. We're here with Stuart. Stuart's gonna kind of show us around the shop.
Yeah, so we kind of got our start in the Honda drag racing scene. That's kind of how Tony really grew the company from 05 to 2011 or 12. So we did a lot of like half power front wheel drive stuff that kind of naturally progressed in like S2000s and SXs, and that went to Supras, and just any kind of like import drag racing was kind of getting sent to Tony for tuning that he's really well known for, and the fabrication side. Like people kind of forget that that's a lot of what has got us to where we have is just crazy, unique, high-class fabrication stuff. And then around 2011-12, we made the switch to the Nissan GTRs. So Tony bought one for his personal use and was like, I'm never gonna touch this thing. And then, as time's coming up, Texas 2K is rolling around again, but he was getting ready for 2K. He's like, I'm not taking a stock car to 2K. And so he puts exhaust on it and tunes it. And then there's other people that have Honda drag race cars with him are like, well, if you're doing GTRs, I want to send my GTR to you. And so then we've got 3 GTRs there.
Yeah. And
so then it's like, well, the GTRs, like these guys are just, hey, just take care of me. You just tell me what we need. Here's the check. And then the Honda guys are like, hey, I found a better ignition coil on Summit. I'm going to send you that. And it's like, which way are we going to go here? So we start moving to Nissan GTRs, and same thing that made us popular at the Honda scene made us popular with that. The good tuning, good fabrication, engine programs, exploded. Yeah. Not in a bad way. It's really boomed and made good strides.
Went through the
So yeah, these days we're doing. I say pretty confidently we're at the top tier for Nissan GTR stuff. We've got the quickest one in the world as far as how they're being used in any type of like straight line racing. I think we're top dogs right now. And kind of like how the Honda scene went to the Lamborghini or to the GTR scene. Now our GTR customers are like, oh, you guys are working on Lamborghinis now. So now we have Lamborghinis for those guys. So just, it's gone from Honda to Nissan to Lamborghini, Audi, and it's just, it just keeps growing.
You guys are evolving with the customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And customers grow up and they buy a GTR from Honda, and
Yeah. I remember last time we saw you guys was in Florida at the GTR World Cup. I think that's our cover shot that we have where Tony's just doing like a burnout with the back wheels and just the front, like it was just, the bullhorns were just shooting up flames. Yep. You guys still have that car, the silver one?
That's actually that car right there. Oh, yeah, that chassis car. So that started out as a 100% stock chassis R35. Fastest quarter mile, I think it went like a 6.9 something. Yeah. But some other, the accolades that it did for a while, it was the fastest GTR in a half mile. I think it went 2:35, and that was 2014, 15. It was a long time ago. Yeah. And also the Texas Invitational race, which is a very like elite. Everybody from across the country comes together for this like 1,500 foot roll race. That car literally just destroyed the competition the last year that event took place. He posted like a 230 mile an hour run in 1,500 feet. And it's just like nobody wanted to race anymore after that. So he got done with the drag racing, stock chassis stuff, wanted to go rear wheel drive, put a Liberty Trans in it, make it like an actual race car, not a street car converted. And it was at the chassis shop getting the conversion done for about a year and a half. And in that time frame, like we just had so many customers that are like, dude, let's do race cars, service those, and like we don't have time to do a car that's not paying bills right now. Like, we don't need the advertising. Like customers are doing the advertising for us, and so it's just sat there while we take care of customers.
It's the best kind of customer.
It's awesome. Couldn't ask for better.
So what class is this car considered to be in now?
Man, I don't even know where it fit. It would kind of be like a pro stock type GTR deal. We were still planning on using the VR38 in it, our engine program on that. But like I said, we were going to be doing a Liberty 7-speed in it. We were actually going to keep it IRS to start and try and set the IRS world record in this car, which, records don't come easy for the reason that they're records, but for what we're doing on stock chassis, stock transmission cars, it would have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's check out the shop.
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, at any given time, we've got 12, 15 Nissan GTRs, Lamborghinis, Audi R8s in here. I mean, the lowest power one that you're going to see in here, 364 days of the year, it's going to be 1,000 horsepower. Like everything's up 1,500, 2,000 for the most part. So right now, we've got George Dodworth's car, which that's probably one of the most famous ones. So everybody knows it by Night Fury. Currently the world record holder for the Nissan GTR R35 platform. I think it's been 651 or 653. I don't remember what it was. I think it's 51. Being with George all the way from the time this car made 1,300 to now it makes 3,300. And it's still using our engine program, all custom turbo kit built in house. So it's really cool to see kind of like the culmination of years of workmanship and development all in one car, and it's succeeding.
You said your engine program. What does that consist of?
We're still using VR38 based engines. We don't really switch to the billet block until about 3,000 horsepower. We're still able to make the OEM cast blocks, which people look at as like, what are you talking about? OEM cast blocks, stock cylinder liners at 2,500 wheel.
Wow.
We put aftermarket crankshafts in them, rods, pistons. It's still using stock cast heads that have our CNC work. So we're doing everything with the stock cast parts that we could possibly think of, and they're lasting at 2,500. So we typically run like a 3.8 to 4.1 on the factory blocks. And then with the billet block, we're able to go to 4.3, just boring the cylinders out. It'll make a little bit more power that way, but the main deal is that we start to get to the point where the turbos are so big that we actually are having issues with the engine consuming the air that they're capable of when you're at 3.8 and 4.1. So we have to put enough engine that the turbos can actually properly work.
So I'm seeing McLarens,
Yeah.
R8,
Yeah, so
Porsche.
ironically, this is Tony's personal 720 we just did that we're gonna probably do a little bit of custom work on. I don't think, this is kind of famous last words, I don't think we're getting into that market, but as it tends to go when Tony gets into it, sometimes more of them show up. And then we've got our Shop R8 that's actually driven by Tony's wife, Amy. Cool. So this car, for a little while, was the stock engine record holder. I think it was like 823 or 821 with a stock unopened Audi engine, which is, crazy at that point. But we're pulling the engine out, going to put our built engine in it for 2K and probably turn it up somewhere around 2,000 or so. So we're pretty confident that if the 100% stock long blocks are good at 1,400, 1,500, that 2,000 shouldn't be too unattainable pretty easily. So yeah.
And what transmission are you guys running now?
Yeah, so the TL800, which is the factory Audi DCT trans, same one that's in Huracan and R8. So same way we've been doing it for years. Shep Trans does all the builds for us. Those guys have been, there's no reason for us to even want to work on the transmissions. Like, we have a great relationship with Shep, always takes care of us. We've got a race car of ours, so it's just mutually beneficial to keep working with them.
Shep is definitely the standard,
Yeah, Shep, Dodson, Drive Shaft Shop, we've got all the good parts that have worked and everything else we've worked on. Customer named Billy, and he kind of filled a void in a customer that we weren't sure if it would ever actually happen. So he was like, I have no interest in drag racing, but I just want to build a roll race car that nobody can do. And I was like, I've literally been waiting on that, so let's do it. And so it's been nothing but, happy times working with that guy. He's just like, yeah, that's what you want to do it. And so this car won the Texas 2K roll race last year, making about 2,500 wheel horsepower. We actually had some issues where we couldn't turn a left at race, but still wanted it that. We put nitrous on it, haven't sprayed it yet, and he's like, no, I still want to go bigger. I was like, okay, all right, we'll keep doing that. So it's almost identical to the turbo system that Brett built on George's car. That's now the quickest one in the world at 651. And it's just gonna be a roll race car. So this thing will make well over 3,000 wheel and just be a roll race car. So as long as, racing's, a cool bitch, shit can happen. But as long as nothing silly happens, this thing should be extremely hard to beat.
Yeah.
It looks gorgeous.
So same deal where this is all fabricated in-house, all our design. These Garrett 80mm turbos have been crazy to work with. They're insane the kind of power they'll make. And if that's not enough, we can spray it. But right now, it's at the limit for a few components.
So you guys chop the front ends off here? Because how do you fit anything there?
Yeah. So the factory core support, basically gets lopped off here. It's got the fans and everything built into it. And then basically Brett will have the task of building the structure to be able to support the bumper, headlights, and obviously the turbo system. But yeah, it'll still retain 100% factory front bumper. We did move the radiator back on it. Nothing we haven't done before.
Yeah.
Everybody's seen pictures of like hoods pulling up on cars at high speed. So there's a lot of structural stuff we have to build into the actual like hood latch systems, hood support systems, and all that. All the boost couplers on this will have the bandies on. As time has gone on, this thing will see 90, 95 pounds of boost, and most of the other ones are seeing minimum 55, 60. So we get to the point where couplers just not a good idea at that point.
It's so crazy to hear 95 in a gasoline engine. Like we got used to it. We had to get used to hearing it from diesel guys. They're telling us like, oh yeah, I'm running your HD clamps at like 200 PSI. We're like,
yep.
What? But I never heard that from gas engines. Yep. Like that's not a thing.
Yeah. So we've got 3 or 4 cars that are about this power level now, and they're all, upwards of 90 when they're all in.
And obviously this is the billet block.
Yes, yeah. So this one's a 4.3 again, just because of the size turbos on it. Like it's with a 3.8 or a 4.1, the engine simply wouldn't have the ability to move the airflow.
Yeah.
And a lot of the cars, which kind of started our conversation, that we have cars where they're still on silicone couplers just because they've kind of progressed through different levels of builds. And it's like, you know, you get to the point where you got to start adding boost braces or you got to redo everything. So it's either got a engine clamp on it or a boost brace on it at this point if it's a coupler. Yeah. There's nothing worse than going to the races, and especially on these cars, like getting into a lot of the couplers is not doing it at the race. Like for auto body one maybe, but when you've got to come down in here and you've got to reach all the way in through the front bumper, which has a radiator in the way, take the fender liner out because it blew the coupler off the turbo, the main charge pipe. Can't afford to do that at races. Customers don't get happy when that happens. Yeah,
because they don't care about how it happened or why it happened. They're just like, fix it.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds coming out from that door.
Yeah.
You have a dyno back there?
It's like, I know,
So you'll get to see a rare sight, which is a Supra on the dyno here.
Oh.
Super clean car. Same water to airs that we saw like on Stacy's car, but we kind of went through the trouble of doing a full like one-piece CNC end tank on it. This one's a little bit different just for the application that's on this car. It's using a little bit bigger inlet for the power level we're going for, but the end tanks that we have have everything fully formed into it. So it's literally just set the core down, weld the cap on, and they're identical bank to bank. So there's only one set of inlets, one set of outlets, one set of the waters. Like try to make it as streamlined and as high quality as possible on it.
So you guys make the CNC end tanks in house?
Magnus actually makes those.
Oh,
yeah. Magnus does
local
those
to
for
us.
Yeah,
Marco, we know him pretty well.
Let me show you guys the engine room. It's kind of
got
some cool stuff in there. This is the guys from Vibrant.
Hi guys.
Nice to meet you.
Brandon has been doing all of our final engine assembly for 8 or so years at this point. All the 3,000, 2,000 horsepower stuff, it all comes on his shoulders, so it's messed up. He's gone.
No pressure.
How many long blocks are you into it at this point?
I think this is number 197 or 198, so almost 200 VRs for T1, and done quite a few of them. I could probably definitely do them with my eyes closed.
Yeah. How long does it take to build from?
When I get it back from the machine shop as a short block, it's 16 hours or so to get it to where it's like in a crate ready to ship, or go out into the shop and start getting dressed and the accessories and stuff like that put on it. The dry sump ones take a few more hours because you got to modify a bunch of stuff and drill some passages and re-clean everything. But
as expected, there's some proprietary stuff that gets developed and tweaked along the way. So this will be the backup engine that's actually going in Billy's car for Texas 2K.
Mm-hmm.
These guys get to the point where he's more so because he likes to get ahead of it, but a lot of these guys end up having 2 long blocks just because I can't put one of these together in a week. So if you when the first of the year rolls around, we got 2K, GTR World Cup, MITM started happening. So there's 3 or 4 races in a 3-month period. So it's like, look, you got to backup parts. You're not making it if it fails. So AMS Performance makes us build blocks. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think that we probably bought the most out of anybody from them. Not because they're failing. Not because of that.
It's cool to see everyone integrated together. You guys work with AMS. I believe you guys also work with ETS. Everyone's kind of all together.
Before I got in this industry, I wouldn't have believed how small it is. There's dozens, hundreds of shops. Everybody knows everybody. Mm-hmm. The people that get along are all successful businesses, right? We know how to treat people, we know how to treat customers, treat vendors. It's those are the people that you see sticking around. And so the bad ones get kind of weeded out pretty quickly. We go to these races, 6-7 times a year. We're not trying to go out there and be just getting in fights with people at the track. We want to go in and have fun. It's a hobby.
That's for Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
I that's the scripted version.
There's times that they build us out, and there's times that we, build them out, and it's nice to, like he's saying, just be able to have, as a track, another shop that just works and specializes on these, and you can just run down there and be like, hey, I need something, help me out. You know what I mean?
That's such a cool room too.
Yeah. So this is the 3rd shop we've had, and so this is the first one we've owned. You can kind of design a lot of it before we moved in. the only part that was AC and heated was the office, like the sales office, and then we had just one small room. And eventually, that started as the engine room. That was the goal. And then it was all the injector guys were like, dude, it's 115 degrees out. Like, we want to go in there. And we're like, okay, we can go in there too. And then it's like, everybody else is in there. So now it was like a room this size and there's 7 people working in
Yeah,
there.
like the whole shipping department, the injector guys.
Then we moved in here, like, look, like we're moving a lot of engines. We gotta have a dedicated room for it. And that's now ballooned. And now we have another room that's just engine storage parts. And there's, you know, $500,000 in engines sitting in there, you know, it's just crazy. This grew from a dedicated infinity wall type deal to Tony bought a 3D printer the other day, so now it's a printer and photography room. But so, you know, we had like, you know, a little white thing you just put somewhere and clean and do all that, and then we had this room. Tony's like, I want to build a wall. I'm like, do it, I'm in.
But how about cleaning it? Does it ever get dirty or?
It does, but you just repaint it and it's done in an hour. So like you can clean it or you can just paint it again real quick. You just roll it on, you know. Some things we've expanded into the sales office. You know, we've got 4 guys in here, and then we've got a 2 chassis car that kind of just hangs out, and then it's turned into a storage rack for RA stuff that we've grown out of having room other places. Pretty nice to have this big old office, and I think the old place, like Ryan and Mitch were kind of just crammed next to each other, and Tony and I were crammed next to each other, but.
Well, Stuart, thank you for having us. Yeah. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, yeah. Appreciate you guys taking care of us and making awesome products. And glad you could check out the shop. So you guys are going to be at 2K?
We're definitely going to be at 2K.
We'll be there. I think we'll have 9 cars there.
Nice.
So they'll all have their products on them.
Yeah.
Shoot plenty of video on that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're all doing good things, not blowing up. But we'll see.
It's racing.
Yep.
It happens.
Yeah.